Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to News on Canal the English with me, Annette Efeti Esomme. We begin with our top stories. Activities have resumed at the Kanyabasi neighborhood here in Douala, the automobile spare part market, where activities were interrupted yesterday following the death of a young boy. And out of the country, the South African currency has been manipulated at the foreign exchange market since 2007 following investigations. Development will be yours right ahead. Activities have resumed at the Kanyabasi neighborhood in Douala after shops were shut down yesterday following the death of a young boy who was assigned by a Nigerian to bring down a wall. In the course of the exercise, the worst happened and the boy lost his life. While investigations continued, the tension that reigned yesterday have subsided and activities around the popular automobile spare part market here in Douala are once again flourishing. Northwest Governor Elie Afrique has ended a two-day sensitization tour in the Northwest region where he encouraged parents to send their children back to school. Elie Afrique ended the two-week trip in Bello subdivision with a live talk on the community radio where he asked everyone to make sure that children go back to school. We remain still in the Northwest region where the Upper Noon Valley Development Authority, specialized in the production of rice, now has a new boss. The new man has been called upon to boost rice production in the country by the Minister of Agriculture. This report. The extraordinary board session of the Upper Nyong Valley Development Authority in Top, Northwest region of Cameroon held recently and was presided at by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Henry Eyebe Arisi. After a brief meeting, the over 100-man staff of the parastatal was invited into the hall and were presented their new boss, Eric Akongui, who took over from Ching Richard Wanka.
Since its creation on May the 11th of 1978, UNVDA remains the singular arm of the state in its agricultural development strategy. Further, in pursuance of its missions, this corporation contributes to improving the level of food security, alleviating poverty in the Northwest region, and to increasing agricultural production.
But I would follow the instructions of the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, because in life we learn every day. I have to thank the President of the Republic very immensely from the bottom of my heart for this confidence that he has bestowed on me. And our administration is continuous. We are not going to invent any new thing. We have to continue from where my predecessor left it. And we are going in for merit, competence. That's what we have to do. Well, the minister said we have to increase rice productivity. We have to respect the board and get instructions from the titular authority, which is the Ministry of Agriculture. We have to get access to rice fields. We have to follow up the implementation of the upland rice production. We have to get civil engineering equipment in order to get access to rice farms.
The Upper Nyong Valley Development Authority is a para-public agro-industrial complex specialized in rice production and disenclavement of rural areas where it is found, namely in the Noon and Bambutus divisions in the West region and Mezam, Bui and Gokitundria divisions in the Northwest region. Stakeholders in charge of the African Trade in Wildlife Information Exchange, dubbed Afrique, has done a midterm evaluation on the management of wildlife and fauna species. The project was created in 2010 with the objective to share information on wildlife crimes. Stakeholders say the project has made some positive strides. Trade in wildlife information sharing is an internet tool to facilitate exchange of information and cooperation on the management and control of wildlife and fauna species. Let's listen to what some of the experts had to say during the midterm evaluation meeting. Well, we are sorry for the interviews that are not yet ready. We continue with something else. Security is very vital for the economic growth of any society. Our reporter Beatrice Ngamo says there is a heavy deployment of security officers at the International Fair for Enterprises that promotes
the deployment of the Army in all its facets at the 6th International Fair for Enterprises, SMEs and Partnership promotes purely security and defense. The Minister of State at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Efeti Esomme, in the company of the Minister Delegate in charge of National Gendarmerie, Jean-Baptiste Bokam, made it clear that presence is natural and normal, for we can't talk development, economy, business climate without security, without defense. And so, ever ready to accompany the nation in their processes. The Army at the interest of the nation, Army close to the population, and thanks to the population, they are able to accomplish mission effectively.
What we are exhibiting is the services that we can give according to the mission of development. Okay, so the protections of the person, the development of engineering and
firefighter squad, National Gendarmerie, Air and Land Force, civil engineering, healthcare are services which the visitors have been offered amongst many.
Absolutely, and we have many points of the stands. We have the resource, the human resource. You know that the army is recruiting now. We have the concours of EMIA, which has been proclaimed. Yes. Okay, so every service has to tell exactly what is its contribution, particular contribution to the development of Cameroon.
The army is a service in partnership to the development of the country.
Public-private partnership on a good move as the CEO of Canal International, Emmanuel Chachwe, was guest on CRTV stands at Promote. Detail of this visit with Beatrice Ngamo.
Unusual visitor at the stand of the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV at the Promote site. He is the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of Canal International, Emmanuel Chachwe. A friendly, brotherly visit to the General Manager of the CRTV, Sharon Dongo. All was live in a relaxed atmosphere. The two Cameroon TV giants sharing visions, challenges and perspectives, especially in the era of digital technology. Canal International and CRTV at Promote as two neighbors who are face to face, out to expose their most beautiful qualities and values to attract the best attention from viewers, spectators, visitors. The sounds and pictures coming from both stands tells of their leadership role. An immeasurable proximity links the two channels. Private-public friendship and promotion, that's what it's all about at this 6th International Fair for Enterprises, SMEs, and partnership ongoing at the Yaoundé Conference Center.
And out of the country, some giant banks have manipulated the South African currency, the rand, at the foreign exchange market. The DR Congo says it will not be ready before the end of this year to hold election. More on this and other items together in this report put by me. The government of the Democratic Republic of Congo says it will not be able to afford to organize presidential election this year due to financial reasons. The cost of organizing the poll stands at $1.8 billion US, what it says to be too expensive. Last year, the government and the opposition agreed that new elections would be held by the end of 2017. Mr. Kabila, whose final mandate ran out in November 2016, is being accused by his opponents of repeatedly delaying the poll in order to remain in power. 17 banking giants have been accused of rigging the price of South Africa's currency, the rand. The country's competition commission has called for big fines against the banks. A 2-year investigation concluded there was widespread collusion, and this has been going on since 2007. Several banks have already agreed to cooperate with authorities, while the South African governing ANC says harsh penalties be imposed on the banks if found guilty of manipulating the foreign exchange market. The opposition economic freedom fighters say the operating licenses of the banks should be revoked immediately. A human rights report says a rebel group in the Central African Republic killed at least 32 civilians and captured fighters after clashes in December 2016 with another rebel group. The killings took place despite the presence of MINUSCA and the UN peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic. Rebels from the Union for Peace in Central Africa killed 25 people after calling them to a school for an alleged meeting and killed 7 other men earlier that same day. The United Nations has warned U.S. President Donald Trump against abandoning the idea of a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, saying there is no alternative. The warning comes after Mr. Trump is against decades of U.S. policy, saying he would back whatever formula that leads to peace. Mr. Trump says both sides must compromise and has promised Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he will deliver a great peace deal. Palestinians reacted with alarm to the possibility that he could drop support for Palestinian statehood. Well, this is where we round it off for this edition of the newscast. More news will be yours at 8 p.m. with Elie Smith. Have a good day.